This template and tutorial came from a Who's user that actually asked me how they can develop better relationships with some of the real estate agents. One of the ideas was to create a pre-listing report to maximize the ROI before the house was listed. So they would take images of something that needed to be remodeled and then make the changes using AI, create the mock-up, and then do an ROI calculation. And today, that's what I'm going to show you in this board. Now, mortgage loan officers typically work on the buyer side because they're issuing the loan for the real estate agent's client. But this helps a mortgage loan officer develop the relationship with the real estate agent, because when that client sells, they're most likely going to buy a home, or buyers will use the loan officer to say, hey, I would love to do that. Now, what loan should I get qualified for? So we're going to go through the steps of creating this pre-listing report, showing the ROI on the house and the mock-up images, as well as find the right type of loan that could be used for a buyer in this situation. Now, a little disclaimer, I'm not a mortgage loan officer. I've taken information I found online to create this workflow, and then you can tweak it how you would like once you're inside of Canvas. You'll be able to find this board inside of the Canvas examples under the Canvas tab, but let's get started. So I'm going to go through each of these elements with you that's on here. So when you get into this template, you can remove what you don't need, add your information, and then use the prompts that I've structured here to create a workflow that you can use over and over again for every new report that you want to create. At the end of this, you will be able to actually share this board with a client. So you just type in their email address here and then get an explanation for what kind of loans work for this kind of property and the remodel that wants to be done. Number one is I'm just dragging and dropping images into the board. So this is the actual home's address and the front of the house. And if we look at the property, we can see that it's pretty well done, but there were a few photos down here that I was like, we could remodel that if we wanted to and see what kind of ROI we would get from it. So down here we have this loft and it's got some crazy colors and it doesn't look like it's really a utilized space. So that's what we're going to be working on for this example. So we're taking these images, we're dragging them into our Who's Canvas board and populating them here. This is a website module. So we just go down, click the website, and then we can take the zip ID or the MLS listing, however you want to do it, and populate it here. Now, if you do use the MLS listing, you can download it as a PDF and then just drag and drop it into the board. And it'll work the same as getting that listing information from the zip ID or Zillow. And we're going to be adding a persona next. So we'll click on the persona, we'll type in what we want, and then this essentially works as the prompt studio. So it injects a really good prompt, and then you have your main objectives, and then how this persona is going to influence this chat. Next, we're going to look at the prompts that we're going to use. And this is basically laid out as a workflow. So prompt 1 would be step 1, prompt 2 would be step 2, prompt 3 would be step 3. And what we're going to do is connect these images, this property detail profile, and the persona. I'm just going to say familiarize yourself with what's attached to the chat. It's going to go through, gather all that information from these 3 things and say, hey, okay, I got an idea of what's going on here. And then I'm going to inject this first prompt. So I will copy this into the chat. You can select your different model that you want to use. I'm going to use Claude Sonnet for this, and I'm going to hit send. Since I've already done this in a chat, I'm going to walk you through what it replied to previously in this example. It replied to prompt 1 with, okay, I know my job, I know my role, this is what I'm going to be doing. Here's some ideas that we could use to help enhance what's connected to this chat, these images right here. Now I go to step 2, or prompt 2. Now I'm saying, hey, you're a savvy interior designer. It's going to use this prompt, it's going to use the persona, and I'm going to say generate the images for the loft, ignore the bathroom images for now. So this line that I put into the prompt actually isn't in this example prompt. So you do need to make a couple of changes to the prompts when you put them in there so they fit what you're trying to do. Label your images, stay organized. At the end, I said we're going to share this board, so it's always good to have things labeled so the path is easy to follow. After I put that in, it's going to generate me this image. I pulled it out by just dragging and dropping the image onto the board. And then we have a before and after shot here. And this takes us to step 3. So step 3 is going to be the budget breakdown. And essentially this prompt right here is saying, hey, based on the mock-up that you just generated of this home, I want you to take everything that's new in there and create a budget breakdown. So all the items you use, the paint that you use, the floor finishing that you used, I want to see how much it costs, and I want to see the ROI. So I copy this prompt and I paste it into here. And then we get a table with line items, pricing, and then where you can actually buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot or Amazon. So these are specific items that you can actually go purchase. Again, in here, you will see that based on the mockup just generated, I have image name in brackets. So that's where you want to put your image name so it knows what to reference. So now it's on us to verify that these links are actually linking to the products that it says it is. So if I go and click on this chair and I hit Amazon, it goes, oh, sorry, I couldn't find this. So what I needed to do instead was to change my model to Who's He Thinking. This gives the AI more time to go out, find the correct links, verify that they are true, and then bring back the information. So AI is going to get you 80-90% of the way there, but you want to make sure you're double checking everything to be sure that you're giving the client the right stuff. So now if I click on the professional satin wood floor restore, it does pull up the actual product at Home Depot. So just verify that all these links are correct. So when you go into step 1 of this, what you're going to do is delete all of these images and then upload the images that you want to use. Number 2 is you're going to go grab that zip ID or that MLS and download it as a PDF or use the website module and input it. And then you're going to create that persona. Now these prompts are done, but if you do want to change them, you can use this prompt studio, or you can go in and manually change these by just typing in text. These are actually context modules. So they just hold text and you can attach them to a chat. But they're a great placeholder to keep your prompts for when you're doing workflows like this. So you can just reuse the same prompts that worked over and over and over again. If you do want to make changes, you just go into the goal of the prompt studio. You type in your 1 or 2 sentences that you want to get done. You click detailed, casual, whatever you want, and then you hit generate prompt. You can either attach this to your chat and send it to it, or you can just copy and paste it. I like copying and paste it because, like I said, I like to use these context modules as placeholder text for my prompts so you can just see my workflow visually. So the overall goal of step 1 was to calculate that ROI, but it was also to give something to the agent to develop the relationship of, hey, pass this to your client. If they like it, move forward with it. I'm just here as a resource to help you out. But this does give that client a visualization of what a room could look like, the potential of it. Now, this could also work for a buyer's agent. Same board. You invite them by email. They come in here. When they're showing their client, it's like, you know what? It's the best location. It's got the schools. It's got the shopping, outdoor activities. It's got everything. I just wish this room was finished so I didn't have to do that work. But when you mock up new images, they start visualizing that space, what it could be like, what they could do with it. And it gives a little more emphasis to, hey, maybe it is worth it. So just an idea, keep in the back of your head if you want to use this for the listing agent or buyer's agents that come. This board can be shared with multiple people. They don't need a Who's He account. We're going to move on to step 2, which is the loan analysis of this. So what I'm doing is I'm going up here, I'm taking this chat, and I'm going to duplicate the element. So when you're done with step 1, you duplicate this chat. It's got all the information. The conversation stays the same. And we're just going to bring it down to step 2 of this project. So you can see I already have it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this. And we're going to walk through what step 2 looks like. So like I said, not a mortgage loan officer, but I did do some research on loans that would be good for remodels. So the 203K limited or the standard, whether it's a structural or non-structural improvement. And then there's some Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae loans that you can use as well. So because you guys are the loan officers, you will most likely have more information on this than I do. So you can take your resources from whatever platforms you use, download them as PDFs and bring them in here. Essentially, what I wanted to give this chat was the information about the different loan types. So if it has all the information about this ROI, this budget breakdown, and everything that's going on inside of the chat that we did so far, what we need to do now is create a renovation mortgage advisor persona. Again, you just click on the personas and put that prompt, attach any assets that you like. So I uploaded this PDF. This is just the different loan types that I have up here. You're going to want to upload the different loan types that you would consider using for a project like this. And then we also need to create that prompt, that step 1, which I just used Prompt Studio for. Okay, so tweak this prompt however you want, but I just injected it into this chat right after we did our budget breakdown. And it's going to now analyze the different loan types that are attached to this chat and tell me which one would be probably the best for it. The recommendation it actually gave me was, you're spending maybe $3,000 on this remodel. I don't think you even need to factor in one of these more complicated loans. Conventional or an FHA would be fine. And if you can bring $3,000 cash from the buyer to the table, this remodel is going to get done pretty quick. All you have to do is help coordinate those contractors and whatnot. Once we find the loan that we think is going to best fit this client, what we can do is attach this loan criteria to a new chat, and we can ask, what's the criteria needed from the client? So when you share this board with that real estate agent and you have all the information about what loan is going to be the best, why it's the best, what loans don't work, they can go through and read this information as well as ask questions. So it's going to be a chat only. So all the information that you have attached to a chat, they will be able to ask questions and get answers for. You're also able to come in here and see what they're saying as well as the responses. So you have a little bit of insight to where their head is at. For this chat, you would label it loan criteria, and they would be able to converse with it to help inform their client on what they would need to get approved for a loan like this. So when they bring them to you, everybody's on the same page about what's going on and what's needed. We're not having any lag time in between back and forth emails and collect this data. It's all inside of the chat where they can ask the questions and get right to the project. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, you can email support@whoozy.ai. And if you have ideas about more tutorials, go ahead and email support@whoozy.ai and we will get those done for you.